Hi, welcome to the video. Nuclear energy is honestly really cool. That's how I see it at least. But a lot of people have a lot of differing ideas on it. By the way, all the links are down in the description for all my sources, so make sure you check them out if you want to learn more about this kind of stuff. Before we talk about nuclear energy, I have to say this. There were so many different people that helped work towards us having a modern style nuclear energy as a power source, from people that helped with the atom to radioactivity to just learning about uranium and nuclear fission and everything in between. I won't be able to cover everybody here, and I really do recommend reading the top source in the description because they really talk about everyone who helped. This story actually starts in 1789 with Martin Klaproth when he discovered uranium. From then to about the start of World War II, people just really learned more about the atom and how radioactivity works and nuclear fission and just really everything in between. However, when World War II started, most of the research went towards making an atomic bomb rather than actually working towards nuclear energy. The Germans were the first to get started on the atomic bomb, but the British Mod Committee was actually really close behind. However, the Germans quickly found out that they did not have the materials to actually make an atomic bomb and actually focused more on conventional rockets. This decision was actually really important because it actually helped the space race during the 1950s. And the British didn't actually have the money or the resources to work on an atomic bomb, so they actually asked the leading American scientists to look at their research. Some of the American scientists were interested in nuclear power, but since America wasn't at war, there was really no point for them to further their research. But when the attack on Pearl Harbor actually happened and the United States entered the war, the US Army actually became interested in an atomic bomb, so they started using the research from the Mod Committee. But whenever they started using the research from the Mod Committee, they weren't actually giving any research back, and the Mod Committee was forced to shut down shortly afterwards. They did release 2 studies though, one on the importance of building an atomic bomb and how it could be possible, and 2 for the study of atomic power. What happened next in this story we should really all know about. It was about the Manhattan Project and the eventual end of the war with the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But after the war, people realized how important it was to have a controllable energy source that was in your country that you could control. So the US, the Soviets, the French, and the British all started individually working on different sources of nuclear power. A really big step in the research of nuclear power was when President Eisenhower actually made the Atoms for Peace program that shifted a lot of the research from bomb building to nuclear power. After this initial burst, and from the late 1970s to around 2002, a lot of people lost interest in nuclear power after building a lot of differing generators around the world. But ever since 2002, China, Japan, and India have been super invested in creating different nuclear power sources. Phew. That was a lot. But I guess when you have something as productive and cool as nuclear power, I guess there is a lot to be said. There are 2 ways nuclear energy is created. One is by nuclear fission and the other is by nuclear fusion. They're pretty much opposites from each other. Nuclear fission is the current way that all generators create power. However, nuclear fusion has been proven possible. The process of nuclear fission can be a little confusing, so here I go trying to explain it the best way I can. So first we have some uranium submerged in water. Then we actually introduce a neutron into that uranium. The uranium will split into 2 equal masses and have a few neutrons left over. These neutrons will actually be expelled forward into other bits of uranium that are lying around. This process is called the nuclear chain reaction. Every single time these neutrons hit the uranium, it actually expels a whole bunch of energy. This energy actually heats up the water that the uranium is submerged in and creates steam, which then turns a turbine, which generates electricity. It's not perfect, but nuclear energy actually generates up to 20% of the electricity in the United States. The next process we'll talk about is nuclear fusion. This is kind of the opposite of nuclear fission, where lighter elements form into heavier elements. It's not quite possible on Earth because we can't actually control the reaction itself. We can get it started, but we can't stop it. But if you want an example, nuclear fusion is actually what happens in our sun and other stars. And there honestly is hope in the future that nuclear fusion can become one of the main sources of energy throughout the entire world. And with hydrogen being the main element for nuclear fusion and the abundance of it on Earth, it's really possible that nuclear fusion could become probably the best source of energy for us. This is a really big debate nowadays on how much renewable energy should we use, like wind, solar, and nuclear. But I really think that we should try to improve how much renewable energy we have, since it's renewable, we can use as much as we'd like. Nuclear energy really does have its downsides. For instance, it does create a whole bunch of radioactive material that has to be stored somewhere, or something has to be done with it for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. But there are plenty of plus sides to nuclear energy. I mean, for one, it's extremely clean. There's not really, other than the radioactive material, there's nothing bothering the air, and there's nothing to influence climate change. And honestly, it's a lot safer than a lot of people think. The two biggest disasters, the Fukushima disaster in Japan and the Chernobyl disaster in Ukraine, those two came from a variety of different problems. The Fukushima disaster came after an earthquake and a tsunami actually hit the plant, which is uncontrollable by our standards. And the Chernobyl disaster was poorly designed. The entire plant was poorly designed, honestly. And the personnel were poorly trained, so that was just a human error. Honestly, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to expand nuclear energy, or to even invest in the nuclear fusion to create an even cleaner source of energy. And I really think the rest of the world would be happy about it. Anyway, if you liked the video, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to catch the next video. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of nuclear energy. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.